Hello! I saw Sonic the Hedgehog finally, so let's talk about it!
Meow?
Sonic the Hedgehog was written by Patrick Casey and Josh Miller, directed by Jeff Fowler, and stars Ben Schwartz as the voice of Sonic the Hedgehog, Jim Carrey as Dr. Robotnik, and James Marsden as some dude. Sonic the Hedgehog is about Sonic the Hedgehog, who lives in a different world, planet, dimension, universe, whatever you want to call it. He has to leave and go to Earth because apparently the entire world in his planet is trying to kill him because he's got like a power or something that they don't understand. So he comes to Earth via magic portal rings and realizes that he's going to be alone for the rest of his life because he can't make friends on Earth because everyone's going to kill him if they see him. And then he meets James Marsden and starts hanging out with them, but he loses all his portal rings, so they got to go to San Francisco to get up his portal rings so they can leave Earth. And that's the Sonic movie. Everyone's fine in this movie. James Marsden is fine. Jim Carrey is not nearly as wacky or animated as I kind of wanted him to be. Like, I kind of wish he had a little bit more fun playing this character, got a little bit more weird and more wacky and more animated. Sonic was not nearly as annoying as I expected him to be. In fact, they make him rather sympathetic, which is good. The music for this movie is completely forgettable. I don't remember any single piece of music from this movie whatsoever. Except for the very end of the movie, just before the credits, where they actually use a retooled theme from one of the old Sonic games that I'm like, I actually recognize. I'm like, oh, that's the Sonic music. And it's the only time in the movie they actually use the Sonic music, and it's immediately recognizable because it's so much better than the rest of the music in the movie. It's kind of a shame that they didn't use more of it. In terms of like direction and cinematography, everything looks really bland and flat. The lighting is really flat. Shots are really flat. Everyone just looks basic as hell. It's disappointing because like there's so much cool shit you could do with this movie. There's so much cool shit you could do with Sonic and like an adventure you can take him on. And instead of being like, we could pay homage to the aspects of certain video games and mess with camera angles and replicate the camera angles from the games and stuff like that. And they don't do that at all. It's really weird and disappointing in that aspect. There's also moments in the movie where Sonic does that thing from X-Men where Quicksilver runs really fast and slows down time, and there's like that aspect where like time is frozen and he's running so fast and he's like moving things and like, oh, you're gonna get hit in the face now. They do it twice in the movie. The first time they do it in like a bar fight because there's a bar fight in the movie for some reason. And they also do it a second time towards the climax of the movie, and it's much more entertaining the first time you see it than the second time you see it. However, it's also just not nearly done as well as when they did it in X-Men. And you can tell that they're aping off that. You can tell they're like, oh, they did that there, so let's do that. And it's just not as good as the X-Men version. This movie also just isn't very funny. There's a lot of attempts at humor in this movie, and none of them land. It doesn't fall onto like slapstick as much as I expected it to. I actually expected there to be a lot of like dumb, stupid, like slapstick humor in this movie, and surprisingly there isn't much at all. It actually has more of like just a general comedy kind of vibe where, you know, oh, one of the characters said something that was kind of funny, but none of it's really that funny at all. And I didn't really laugh at all in this movie. I think maybe one chuckle out of this movie, but I don't even remember what the line was. Also, you could argue like, well, Shane, it's a kid's movie. The kids are gonna like it. Maybe you won't like it. The humor's meant for kids. Not really, because I was in a theater with a lot of kids and families, and it didn't seem like the kids laughed that much at all either. There was only 2 moments where the children did laugh a lot. One of them was a line that I don't remember, and then the other time was a fart. So that's the quality that you're dealing with here in Sonic. It's just boring. It's boring and it's not funny. And it's lame. Like, it's Sonic the Hedgehog. There is a plethora of Sonic video games and Sonic cartoons and media that you can pull from to make a solid Sonic movie. And instead of adapting anything remotely close to what Sonic has done before in like a cartoon or a video game, they just make a movie where he lives on Earth and has to have a road trip with a guy he likes and likes to hang out with. I'm 29. I've played maybe 3 Sonic games max in my entire life, and even I, with a cursory knowledge of the existence of Sonic, knows that there's way more they could have done than just Sonic lives on Earth and he's got to get to San Francisco. Ugh. Look at other video game movies. Look at something like Angry Birds. Angry Birds had the thinnest of concepts, right? It was the birds don't like the pigs and the pigs are mean, so the birds don't like the pigs and they fight the pigs. That's Angry Birds. It was a dumb mobile game with no story, just puzzles. And they managed to make 2 feature-length films. And then you have Sonic, who's been around since like
1991.
And has had a shitload of fucking games and cartoons and different shit you can pull from, and the most they can come out with is this. It's a fundamental lack of understanding of Sonic. And that showed, I think what gave it away was the fact that like the studio thought it would be a good idea to release Sonic in that Nightmare Fuel version back when it was supposed to come out in November. And then the internet bullied them into changing it to make it look actually like Sonic. And like, I feel like just the idea that the studio thought that would have flown to not just Sonic fans, but to general audiences alone. Like, the fact that they thought that would have been okay just shows that like they don't get it. They don't understand it. They saw property. They thought, hey, maybe we can capitalize on this. It's frustrating because this movie isn't horrible either. This movie is very milquetoast bland. Like, it's plain. Like, it's not great. It's not good, but it's not bad. And I think the biggest disappointment isn't what this movie is, but rather what it could have been. Because you could have done so much more. There's not a moment in this movie where I was watching it and thought, I like this more than potentially what this could have been. And I think the best case scenario for what this could have been would have just been an animated movie with Sonic and Tails and his friends in Sonic World. In a Sonic world, doing Sonic stuff. Instead, everything has to be real. Everything has to be like, oh, we made them real. Like, he's in the real world and Sonic's here. And like, the fact that James Marsden's in this movie just to be some guy, like, ugh, it's so boring. It's so bland and basic. It's not funny. The music's forgettable. The cinematography and direction and art direction and all this stuff is just boring and bland and basic. And none of the people in this movie are good necessarily at doing anything, but they're not horrible either. I'm just frustrated that this movie is what it is because it could have been so much better. Granted, it also could have been way fucking worse. And I'm kind of thankful that it wasn't as bad as I had actually anticipated it being. I'm very middle of the road here. Like, I don't hate this movie. I also don't love it. I don't like this movie, but I don't not like it either. Like, there's some fun action scenes, especially in the climax, you know, where he's like, shit's exploding and he's sliding under trucks and stuff. Like, it's fun to see, but it's not very entertaining. I will say this. I was occupied watching this movie and I wasn't annoyed. I wasn't made so offensively angry at this movie at how bad it is or how mediocre it is. I think if you're a diehard Sonic fan, you'll probably find some enjoyment in it. I remember there was a moment in the movie where Sonic gets his iconic red shoes with the white stripe on it and stuff, and where he gets these shoes, and I heard like a couple of guys behind me, a couple rows behind me going like, yes, 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 yes. Like, they were so fucking hype for Sonic to get his sneakers. I think it's cool that Sonic fans get to feel hype about something like that, you know? So, I mean, I think it does some things okay enough, but it also just could have been way fucking better. I'm probably never going to watch this movie again. It's very forgettable, very mediocre, very derivative, just bland, kinda, just really bland. And it's disappointing knowing that we could have gotten something so much better than this. I'm going to give Sonic the Hedgehog a 3 out of 5. Thanks for watching this video. If you like this video, please hit the like button. I would really appreciate it if you could subscribe if you want to see more of my reviews. I upload on Mondays, not every Monday, but just in general on Mondays I upload reviews. So come back, make sure you're subscribed so they pop up on your subscription feeds when you see it. When I upload them, you'll get a little notification bloop, that I upload it. If you hit that, I guess the bell or whatever next to it. I don't like saying any of this shit. I fucking hate saying this shit. Find me on social media at The Shane Watson. Thanks for watching. See you later.